For the next tutorial, which is a cardigan tutorial, I'll be using the slip stitch braid method, which is also referred to as the zigzag method of joining squares. And therefore, in this video, I'll be showing you how to use the slip stitch braid method to join your squares. I'm joining these 4 granny squares and I'll be using a contrast color. So I'll start by joining 2. Start with a slip knot and make sure that you're working from the right side of the squares. Get one of the squares at the corner, insert the hook and slip stitch. Get the corner of the second square and insert like this in the corner right there. Get the yarn and slip stitch. Now we're going to work in these loops, the back loop on this side and the front loops on the other side. So in the first double crochet of the first square, insert the hook in the back loop and slip stitch. In the front loop of the first double crochet on the other square, insert the hook and slip stitch. Then we come back to this other side in the back loop, slip stitch. Then the front loop of the second double crochet on the other square, slip stitch. Then now keep alternating like that. As you can see, we slip stitch on each of the squares separately, 1 stitch at a time. That's the last double crochet on each of the sides. So the next part that we join are the corners. So we are on this side, we move on to the opposite side in the corner, slip stitch, then slip stitch in the corner of the other square, like that. So now we get the next 2 squares and we're going to connect them right there. Now we've ended with a square on the other side, so we need to start with this square on this other side. And we're going to start at the corner, insert the hook and slip stitch. Get the corner of the other square, insert the hook and slip stitch right there. You might want to fasten that to make it tight enough. Then start in the first double crochet in the back loop. The first double crochet on the other side in the front loop. Back loop on this side. Front loop on the other side and continue to the end. At the end, we slip stitch in the corners, so on this corner and on the other corner. Now if you want to add more length to your work, you're just going to get 2 more squares and attach them the same way we've done with this. But then when you're done at that end, chain 1 and cut off the yarn. So we have the join on that one side. So now we need to join on this other side. So we just turn our work like this. Start with a slip knot. Connect with a slip stitch in the first corner of one of the squares. Make it tight. Get the corner on the other square and slip stitch. Then we start on the first double crochet, slip stitch in the back loop. On the other side, we slip stitch in the front loop, back loop on this side, front loop on the other side, and continue till you get to the corner. Those are my last stitches. So then I'm getting to the corner, and at the corner I'll start with this corner on this side, slip stitch into it, then slip stitch into the corner on the other side, like that, and then we skip over to the next squares in the corners. So we are on this side, so we're going to move to this other side, slip stitch at the corner, then slip stitch at the other corner of the other square. Then we continue with the slip stitches in the back and front loops of the double crochets. So on this side we have the front loop of the first double crochet, then actually the back loop, then the front loop of the double crochet on the other side. When doing this joint, you can actually work both loops, that is, you can work right here, but I like to work on the loops in the middle just to have it lying flat. At the corner, we slip stitch in the chain 2 and then slip stitch on the other corner of the other square. Chain 1 and cut off the yarn. And there we have our 4 squares joined. So if you want to add more squares, you can just do that as you go. This is the right side of the squares and this is the wrong side.